There are many misconceptions about Salem, Oregon, and much of what you know may be wrong. I have made the case many times that Salem is a great place to live, and I'm still shocked that so many people know so little about Salem or they just underestimate the city. So today, I want to tackle some misconceptions and offer some reality to what it's like living in Salem. So if you think you know Salem, think again, but don't worry, I was in your same shoes a number of years ago before my family and I moved here as well. And I talked to a lot of families who are considering the move to Salem, and it's interesting to hear their perspective before they make the move here too. So I can totally relate to the families I'm speaking to before they make the move here. I can relate to what you're going through as you watch this video. And you're going to want to stay to the end of this video because I will reveal a common perception that people have about Salem that is absolutely true. The first common misconception is that Salem is a pass-through city. We were constantly told before moving here that all it was known was being a pass-through city, known for being the capital of Oregon, and that was kind of it. Pass-through from people going from Portland to Eugene, where the University of Oregon is, or to Corvallis, where Oregon State is. Or if you just want to get to the southern portion of the state, you just pass on through Salem. And part of it is because the I-5 freeway runs right through the city of Salem, so you can literally just pass right on through. But after doing a lot of research, like you are by watching this video, and living here for a number of years, I can tell you that people are absolutely wrong. Now, my family and I moved to Salem from Los Angeles, a much larger city, so we knew there was going to be less to do here in Salem, and admittedly, there was some concern about that very issue. Even though we wanted a slower paced life, we still wanted to make sure that we had entertainment, fun things to do, and that our kids were occupied. The truth is, after living here for several years, we discovered that there is quite a bit to do here in Salem. While the Capitol buildings and government buildings are prominent in downtown Salem, and I pass by it often, it doesn't feel like a political town. In my former career, I worked in the political field, and I was in a number of capital cities that made you feel like it was a government town. Politics was just in the air. And Salem is just not that way. It doesn't buzz with politics. It doesn't feel like you're just surrounded by government. And to me, that's a good thing. Now, if you are working in government, there is plenty of opportunity here in Salem that it is the Capitol building, but that is not what defines the city. And for me, I really do appreciate that. We have a great, charming downtown that continues to grow and offers so many reasons to hang out there. We've got theater, dining, escape rooms, we have vintage arcade, coffee shops, bars, antique shops, really cool bookstores, clothing shops, bakeries, and so much more. And my family and I are constantly downtown enjoying all that it has to offer. If you're someone that loves nature, well then that's another reason why you would love living in Salem, because we are surrounded by nature. In fact, the Cascade Mountain Range, they're always in view wherever you are from Salem, which is really cool to have. We are surrounded by countryside, agriculture, farmland, wineries. And in addition to that, we've got hiking and walking trails within the city. The city parks have a number of those trails. We also have really cool trails in the foothills that surround us. Another really cool reason to live in Salem, making it more than just a pass-through city, is that we constantly have community events and private events throughout the year, and the city really comes together around these events. We have music festivals, art festivals, fairs, the state fair, county fair, agricultural celebrations, sporting events, harvest festivals, holiday events, and everything in between. This was really a pleasant surprise when my family and I moved here because we were not aware of all the events that Salem hosts. And yes, if you come from a large city like I do, there are events constantly, every weekend. The difference is when you're in a large city, sometimes they're really hard to get to, they're overcrowded, they're super packed, and that is just not the case here in Salem. While the community does come out and the city really celebrates these events, you don't feel overwhelmed by it. You can find parking, it's not congested, and you can easily get to these events. Now, if you are a wine drinker or you just love the atmosphere of a vineyard or a winery, well, Salem is in the heart of the Willamette wine country. There are over 500 wineries and vineyards right in your backyard, and they're constantly holding events also throughout the year. Even when they're not, they're always welcoming. It's also family friendly. A lot of them have games and things for the kids to do, big, large, open space. You can do picnics there, so you can bring your kids and feel like you can enjoy just a nice family outing, even if you're at a winery. Now, Salem also has an agricultural identity to it. And even if you don't work in that industry, I'm not a farmer, I don't work in that industry, I can appreciate it because we are surrounded by it and we get to take advantage of it. A number of these farms open up their properties to what we call you-pick season. It's during the spring, summer, and even into fall. and they welcome people to come in and pick your own fruits. And I'm telling you, it is some of the best tasting fruits you are gonna taste. It is so fresh, so juicy, and my family and I, we make outings there constantly throughout the seasons. And during the fall, they always have special fall festivals out there, fall activities. And again, it's one of those events where the kids love going to and the city really gathers around. So that's another identity that Salem has to offer. Now, in doing your research, you probably saw a river running right through the city, and that is the Willamette River. So there is some water sports to be done here in the city of Salem. You're going to see people kayaking and boating and jet skiing. You'll see some people fishing in there, although I don't know if I recommend that, but people do. So the river is a big part of the lifestyle here in Salem as well. The awesome part about living in Salem too is that it is so centrally located. You're just about an hour away from Portland, so if you do want that big city atmosphere, you can just travel north for about an hour. You're about an hour and a half to the coastline, when Oregon coast is absolutely beautiful. Now, I will admit that the ocean water is quite freezing. It's not like sunny Southern California where I came from, but the coastline and the beauty and the trails and just the peacefulness of the ocean and the coastal cities there is quite amazing, and we're only an hour and a half away from there. We're just about an hour or so from Detroit Lake, so if you want some lake activities, about an hour and a half, 2 hours from some ski ranges and the mountaintops. And if you do want to head south into Eugene, we're just about an hour and a half from there as well. Salem, Oregon does have its own identity, and after living here for a number of years, I can tell you without a doubt, it is much more than just a pass-through city. And as I mentioned, I had concerns. I moved from a large city, so I was a little concerned there wasn't going to be much to do or not a lot of opportunities for myself or my family. But that just isn't the case at all. We are really happy here, and there is quite a bit to do here. Now, we do enjoy the slower paced life. We did not want the hustle of a large city, so this fits us quite well. Now, the second misconception about Salem, Oregon is the weather. Now, when people think Oregon or the Pacific Northwest, they think about rain and gray skies constantly. While there is some truth to this concern, it does not define the city or its lifestyle here at all. Now, I will admit this was a big concern for my family and I because, as I mentioned, we moved from Los Angeles, which we had sun about over 300 days a year. We love the outdoors, we love being active, and we were warned by a lot of people that this could affect our lifestyle, and we were warned by people who moved away from Oregon that this will affect our lifestyle. But the reality is that we get 4 true seasons, and each one is quite mild compared to many parts of the country. We don't have extreme weather here. There's no hurricanes, no tornadoes, no stifling humidity during the summer, no major snowstorms. We get a light dusting 1 to 2 times a year, and it really only sticks in the hills or in the elevated areas of Salem. It's actually quite fun. The kids love being in the sleds and taking a few snow days, so it's not all that bad. The reality is that it does rain here about 40 inches a year, which is a little above the national average, but quite a bit below many parts of the country. The gray skies can last long here in the winter, but again, it's not much more than many parts of the U.S. Now, the spring and summer months are quite amazing. I feel it's some of the best weather that we have here during the seasons. Mild temperatures during the spring between 50s and 70s, making it really comfortable to be outside and enjoy the outdoors. Spring is beautiful here in Salem because the whole city blooms and is green. Salem is surrounded by agriculture, farmland, and the countryside is spectacular during this time. Sometimes, just to decompress, I will take a 20-minute drive outside the city, find myself a nice country road, and enjoy all of the greenery that we are surrounded by. The neighborhoods are really popping with spring colors, as are the local parks and the hiking trails. The trees are really full, bright green, and you're just really surrounded by all that greenery throughout the entire city. The city is in full swing with outdoor events throughout the city. Saturday Farmers Market opens up. People are hanging out at the parks and the local trails. The dog parks fill up, and the U-Pick farms are open to the public, and some of the best fruit you'll taste, as I mentioned. Summers are also amazing here. Temperatures are pretty mild between the 70s and 80s. Once in a while, we'll have a few days in the 90s, but it doesn't last all that long. Even on those really hot days, it is a dry heat with no humidity, so you don't feel like you just took a shower when you stepped outside your door. And being a dry heat allows you to enjoy all the outdoor activities during these summer months. Outdoor events and activities are abundant during the summer, something to do pretty much every week. There's movies and concerts in the park. The restaurant outdoor seating opens up and it's all full. Outdoor markets are bustling. The outdoor pools and the splash pads are very busy. Kids love that. The hiking trails and camping sites are being used frequently. and the state and county fair are in full swing and are in town during the summer months. Now, the summer days do run long. Sometimes the sun doesn't set until after 9 p.m., but this just makes it so you can really fully enjoy all of the summer days. Now, if you have little ones, it can be a little challenge. You're trying to get them to bed. The sun is still shining a little bit at 9 p.m., and they're wondering why they're in bed. But nevertheless, kids absolutely love the summer months. They're off school, and as I mentioned, because it's so mild, they can be outdoors, a lot of outdoor activities. Now, the temperatures do drop a little bit in the summer evenings, 40s and 50s, which I consider very comfortable and very mild. In other parts of the country, the summer nights can be in the 70s and 80s, making it pretty uncomfortable when you're trying to sleep or trying to cool that house down. I absolutely love the summer here in Salem. It just encourages and invites you to be outdoors and enjoy all of the nature that Salem is surrounded by. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat that we don't have weather here. We do have those 40 inches of rain. We do get the gray skies. And during the fall and winter, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. If you do have seasonal depression issues, then you may want to visit during that time to make sure that you are okay with that before moving here. Now, even coming from a sunny place like I did, it doesn't affect me all that well. Sure, there are times I wish the sun was out a little bit more often, but in general, it doesn't really affect the city. The city keeps moving. The people are used to it. Events are occurring no matter what during those seasons, and it's not as bad as people make it out to be. As a reminder, I'm Dave Fein with the Real Estate Dads at eXp Realty, a local realtor right here in the city of Salem. And my team and I love helping people move to and relocate to this amazing city. So hit us up at the contact information popping up or in the description below if you're thinking about moving here. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button to get more content. Hit that like button so this video gets out to more people like yourselves thinking about moving to Salem. Comment below too. I'd like to hear some of your perceptions or what people are telling you about the city, and I can help answer those questions. Now, the third misconception on the list was that Salem really didn't have dining options and didn't really have good restaurants. Now, this may seem a little trivial to some, but when you're coming from a big city and you enjoy going out, enjoy really good food, well, then this is something that could give you a little bit of pause. And we had so many different options. I thought I would not have enough choices, not enough variety, not enough fine dining, or just date night options for my wife and I. Now, when I brought up some of these concerns to people who had moved from big cities to small cities, they kind of made me realize that choice is sometimes just an illusion. I know when I was living back in Los Angeles, yes, I had tons of options and tons of variety, but the truth is, I found the restaurants I really enjoyed and I just kept going back to them. Now, that's not to say I didn't venture out and try new ones, because of course I did. But when I found my restaurants, I would go there for specific reasons, and those were my places to go. Now, over the past few years, I have been pleasantly surprised by the options and the higher end restaurants in Salem, and there just seems to be more that keeps coming to the city. I discovered a number of higher end restaurants that I found to be quite great, with the food cooked to perfection. Anything from fine steakhouses to well thought out menus on tapas bars, tasty Italian food, French inspired cooking, and even elevated country style food. There's also plenty of variety in different types of food. I've found great Thai food, Indian food, Chinese, Vietnamese, Filipino, Mexican, Greek, barbecue, and more. Another cool thing about the food scene here in Salem is that we have food cart destinations. Now, that was a little different for me. I wasn't used to that. In the city I came from, we had food trucks, a number of them, all throughout the city, but you had to find out where they were going to be. You had to follow their social media to see where they were going to pop up and then go travel to wherever they were. And a lot of times you would only have that one option. Well, here in Salem, we have these food cart destinations, which is really sweet. We've got one called Checkpoint 221, one called The Yard, and one called The Beehive, and they're in different parts of Salem, but it is one spot you go to, and there's like 10 to 15 different food carts there offering a variety of food. Some of these places have indoor dining, so it is very accessible all throughout the year, even when the weather is not so good. Some of these places have bars inside as well. And just the options you have, it's a really cool spot. I love the variety, especially when you have a family and you got kids and none of you can figure out, you can't agree on what exactly is that you want to eat. So you just go here and you can have whatever you want and everyone can get whatever they want. I'll also say part of the food scene are the wineries that we have here, because a lot of them open up their doors. They have events there with really cool food events. Now, with all of this said, you will absolutely get more options and more varieties in large cities, but don't discount Salem for not having a good food scene, because we actually do. And more restaurateurs and chefs are coming into Salem because they're realizing that we here in Salem really enjoy our food, and we will absolutely support them as they open up their restaurants. Now, the fourth misconception about Salem, Oregon is that it's not a great place to raise a family. Now, we ditched the big city to move to Salem because we wanted that slower paced life, but we didn't want to sacrifice opportunities for our kids. If you want more information on what it's like to ditch a big city for Salem, check out my video on that specifically on my channel. We were warned that there may not be enough for the kids to do or experience, or may not be enough opportunities for them, but we discovered quite the opposite. We have several museums in town, including a fun children's museum called the Gilbert House, and they actually have summer camps that we took advantage of as well. Several indoor activity centers, including the Croc Center, Athletic Edge, Adventure Park, Salem Gymnastics, Get Air Trampoline Park, several arcades, and soon there's going to be the go-kart racing and laser tag. So there's a lot of really cool, fun things to do for the kids to entertain themselves and for you to bring the kids to entertain. Sports was a really big deal for us because we are an active family and we love sports, and there's plenty of opportunities if you're a sporting family. They have several different little leagues here. They've got club sports like soccer, basketball, baseball, and volleyball, sports through the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Club. There are sports camps throughout the community. There are STEM programs. There are programs for arts, music, performing arts, horseback riding, and farming. There are also tons of activities that are put on by the Parks and Rec. The city itself also really encourages a lot of activities for the kids and produces and puts them on throughout the year. Being surrounded by agriculture also gives the kids some perspective that they may have not had growing up in a big city, because they get to experience the countryside and the farmland, going to these farms and experiencing the agricultural life, picking their own fruit. Again, this is something that we were not able to do in a large city. Of course, education is another factor that a lot of people consider before relocating their family to another city, and that was a big issue for us as well. We were a little concerned, again, coming from a large city with a lot of opportunities in schools, but it turns out, and we are definitely happy with the schooling that our kids are getting here. The schools are great, the teachers are fantastic, and the programs being offered here are very good. One of the biggest reasons why we chose a smaller city and why we chose Salem is because we knew there were neighborhoods where we can feel safe and comfortable with our kids running around outside playing with their friends. Again, coming from a large city and a lot of the neighborhoods there, you don't necessarily feel comfortable doing that. And sometimes you don't even feel comfortable in your own home, but that is, again, not the case here in Salem. Love the neighborhoods here. Our kids are constantly outside. Kids are going to their friend's house, just scootering or biking. Kids are hanging out outdoors. So it is that type of city. And so there are a ton of neighborhoods where you can find that exact type of lifestyle. And that's what we were going for when we moved to Salem, Oregon. As I mentioned, I did promise you to reveal something that people are absolutely right about Salem, and that is it's not Portland. I couldn't tell you how many times that we were told, hey, we're moving to Salem, Oregon. And we were asked, why aren't you just moving to Portland? It's a much bigger city, more things to do. And we chose Salem because it is not Portland. It is not a large city like Los Angeles where we moved from. We didn't want that lifestyle anymore. So people are definitely right when they say Salem is not Portland. And I, for one, think that's a great thing. It's why we considered Salem. It's why we chose to move here. It is less congested, less busy. You don't feel like you're on top of people. I feel like I can move about the city with ease. There's no real traffic to speak of. It is a cleaner city than Portland, and it is a quieter pace of life than Portland. So we are very happy not to live in a big city like Portland. And honestly, if we just want a taste of that big city, then we're just an hour drive away. So it's not that big a deal to go and enjoy. So I hope this video helped debunk some of the misconceptions and myths you heard about Salem, Oregon. My family and I chose to move from a large city to the city of Salem, and we are absolutely happy with our life and our lifestyle. Salem, Oregon absolutely has an identity outside of just being the capital of Oregon. It is much more than being a pass-through city. The weather is really not that bad here. You will find good dining options, and it is not Portland. It is not a big city. So again, if you are thinking about making the move here to Salem, Oregon, my team and I are ready to help. Hit us up at that contact information that's popping up, and we'll help answer any questions that you have. Again, I'd love to hear in the comments about anything that you've heard or any myths that you heard that you want debunked or you want verified. I'm happy to do that as well. Love to hear why you're thinking about moving to Salem. Hit the like button. It helps this channel and this video get to more viewers like yourself, and subscribe to get more content.